every person that money touched got arrested. Picture this, a pile of money about 2.5, 3 feet tall,
Wow.
about 9 feet long, and weighs over a ton. It took me almost an hour and a half to load the van. And my thought was, if I'm going to put my life in danger and throw my life away, I'm not going to do it for just a small amount of money. I'm going to change my life and go big. In my mid-20s, I was working a job that really wasn't going anywhere. My life was pretty bad at the time. Yeah, I was a vault superintendent, so I was only making about $1 more than minimum wage to guard millions of dollars. One of the things that made me do what I did, they didn't want to send me my cut, and they thought it'd just be cheaper and easier to have me killed off.
So everything was about money.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty happy with the me that I have now.
Would you do it again if you have the chance of going back in time, going back in 1996, 1997?
Yeah, I'd say yeah.
Salutare și bine v-am regăsit la un nou interviu exclusiv și în premieră pentru România. De data asta o poveste incredibilă care a stârnit atenția și celor de la Hollywood, producând filmul Hoti de Geniu, în care celebrul actor din HANGOVER, ZACH GALIFIANAKIS, îl interpretează chiar pe invitatul meu de astăzi, David Ghantt. O poveste incredibilă și o să lăsăm pe el să ne povestească cum a reușit să încarce de unul singur 17,3 milioane de dolari americani. Da, ați auzit foarte bine. Hello David, and thank you for accepting my invitation onto the show.
You're very welcome. It's nice to be here.
How are you?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, so I think everybody's curious to find out the story of how you managed to rob $17.3 million. And we want to know, before we get into the real story, we want to know who was David Ghantt Scott right before the event. How was your life back then?
Back then, say I was in my mid-20s, and I was working a job that really wasn't going anywhere, and my life was pretty bad at the time. I mean, it's one of the things that made me do what I did.
Okay, so I read some articles saying that you were winning $8 an hour for the job that you were doing at Fargo Loomis. Is that right?
Yeah, I was just making just above minimum wage. Minimum wage back then was 7 something. So I was only making about $1 more than minimum wage to guard millions of dollars.
And slowly starting working with Fargo Loomis, you met Kelly Campbell. Is it right?
Yeah, that's true. Kelly started maybe about 2 weeks after I did.
Okay, and you started to have a thing for her, and I want to ask you, everything that happened, was it because love or because of the lack of money?
Mostly it was the lack of money.
Okay, but she's the one that orchestrated the whole thing, right?
Yeah, she's the one that came up with the idea and started everything in that direction. Yeah.
Okay, what was your first reaction when she proposed this to you?
My first reaction was disbelief. You know, I wasn't sure she was being, straightforward with me.
Mm-hmm.
But after I thought about it for a minute, I started thinking it was possible.
$17.3 million. We're trying to figure out here, we're trying to picture this. How many stacks of money, or was that a full room of money, or?
Picture this, a pile of money, about 2.5, 3 feet tall.
Wow.
About 9 feet long, and weighs over a ton.
You were convinced that you're gonna get them all, or do you just try to get as many as possible? Because I think it was a lot of time, right? How long it took you to load the van?
It took me almost an hour and a half to load the van. And my thought was, if I'm going to put my life in danger and throw my life away, I'm not going to do it for just a small amount of money. I'm going to change my life and go big.
And you knew at that point that once you're doing this, you're going to Mexico, or what was your plan? You knew that you're going to be apprehended one day. What was your biggest fear?
I knew that I was going to go straight to Mexico. I knew the odds weren't exactly in my favor. Mm-hmm. My long-term plan was to get as much money as I could into, say, a Cayman's Island bank account, and that way, if I did get caught, I'd have some leverage. But we never quite got that far.
And why Mexico, and why Cayman's Island?
Mexico was just a good place to hide out. Plus, one of my plans was to get a boat and travel from Cancun to Cayman Islands. It's like a half a day boat trip from Cancun, or 2 days sailing, and it would have been easy to go back then to get onto the Cayman Islands and incorporate and just deposit all the money there.
I see. Do you remember the first night after the robbery? Can you walk us through the emotions and the feelings that you had, knowing that you stole $17.3 million?
That first night, it was kind of almost a release of stress, and I was excited. I was terrified. It was a lot of different emotions. But the biggest one was I was excited because I'd really finally done something really big in my life. And
at that point, you had the money with you, or the money were already with Stephen Chambers and Michelle and Kelly?
The original plan was for us to divide the money 3 ways. Mm-hmm. We knew that the FBI would be looking for me, and their job was to basically hide the money and wait for a small amount of time, and then they would just basically, since you can smuggle just about anything you want into Mexico, they were just going to box it up and ship it to me, or my cut, my third.
And what was your cut? What was the amount of money that you left the States?
What did I travel with to Mexico?
Yes, exactly.
I didn't know this at the time, but I would have taken more money. But I took about 100, maybe 30,000 the first time through the metal detectors into Mexico.
Were you afraid that you can be caught?
Yeah, well, I didn't know how much the metal detectors would pick up on, or if they would pick up on it at all.
And how did you conceal the money?
Because
I think that's a lot of money, right? It's a bulge of money, right?
Yeah, Kelly Kimball and I made a homemade money belt out of some pantyhose and duct tape.
That's pretty creative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Necessity's the mother,
So let's talk about this. You got into Mexico, right?
Yeah.
What happened, and what was your first thing that you did in Mexico?
The first thing I did was I knew I needed a new wardrobe, so I spent the first few days just exploring Cancun and doing some basic shopping. The things you need every day: toothbrush, and hairbrush, and underwear, and clothes, and just find a place to stay long term.
And what was that? Was that a resort or just a motel? Or
I spent the first few weeks in a motel, and then I found a nice little apartment in Cancun.
So not necessarily you lived like luxury life, right? You all of that.
I lived a very comfortable life in Mexico there.
Did you disguise somehow?
One of the things I did was I dyed my hair brown, and that didn't go very well, but it was a pretty good attempt.
So now let's get back to the moment when Steve Chambers and Michelle, so they got the money, right? And they've done some poor judgment calls. They start spending the money on houses and art collections. And were you aware of all this?
I had no idea what they were doing, except for Kelly Campbell let slip that they had moved into a bigger house.
But not exactly. You didn't know that's a mansion, or like they're spending money on luxury cars and stuff like that, right?
No, I had no idea that they had moved into a mansion.
How did you meet them? Because you weren't friends with them, right?
They were friends of Kelly's, and I'd never met Steve before. I'd only heard about him.
Never in person.
Never in person.
Okay, and so what was the plan? The plan was that you will receive more money while in Mexico, or?
Yeah, eventually what they were supposed to do was, once things calmed down in the United States, they were going to box up my share and basically just FedEx it to me in Mexico.
Okay. And do you remember the moment when you found out that FBA put you on the list of most wanted?
Let's see. That happened about the second week I was in Mexico. I found this will take you way back. Internet kiosk there in the Cancun Mall. I paid the sum of like $5 US, and read all the news in America, and I got to see my wanted poster.
So what was your reaction?
Oh, so I didn't think I'd rated that high, but I was pretty impressed with where I ended up.
And the amount of money, because I think they put $500,000, right?
Yeah, they had a $500,000 reward leading to my arrest back.
Wow. So a very, very important moment was when Kelly Campbell and Steve Chambers and Michelle, they hired an assassin for your killing, right?
Yeah, they did.
What led to this? What happened exactly that they changed so drastically?
They had a meeting of some sorts, and they decided that they didn't want to send me my cut, and they thought it'd just be cheaper and easier to have me killed off.
To get rid of you?
Yeah, just to get rid of me.
So everything was about money? Oh,
yeah.
I see. And who told you? Like Kelly told you, or how did you find out about this guy?
I'd made some friends down in Mexico because by then I'd been there about a month or two, and one of the connections I'd made in Mexico had been asked by a guy about me because he was following me around, and this guy came back to me and said, "Hey, you know this guy wants to kill you, right?" And he was asking about buying a gun in Mexico. And in Mexico, guns are highly illegal, and they're supposed to be very tightly controlled. And so about the only way to get a gun in Mexico is either your great-great-great-grandfather had one and is still around, or you know somebody in the Mexican mafia. And he was asking for a place, or asking for a way to buy a gun.
And did you have the chance of purchasing one or getting one?
Oh, no, not me, no.
Okay. And did this guy end up in Mexico looking after you?
Yeah, he did. He ended up, I met him in Mexico 3 times. I just made sure that we always met in a very public place. And I never gave him the opportunity to kill me.
Oh, so you actually did meet this guy. So you actually knew who he was, and like you had a talk with him.
Yeah, I met him about 3 times.
And what was the discussion that you guys had? Like he told you that he wants to kill you, or he threatened you by any chance?
No, he didn't threaten me, but he asked a lot of strange questions like, are you armed? Do you have a knife? Do you have a gun?
Oh, I was trying to get information from you.
Yeah, and
at that point, were you concerned of your life? Was that your biggest fear?
yeah, but I also knew that as long as I met this guy in a public place and always kept my distance from me, he really couldn't hurt me.
But he couldn't follow you, right?
Oh yeah, he could follow me. He'd follow me all he wanted. But the thing that was in my benefit was I learned a bit of Spanish while I was there, and I also learned how to, and it's very common there, to bribe your local cop if you think you got a problem. $10-15 American will get you a lot of leeway with a Cancun police, and you know, I could have them, open doors for me, and $15 American, like I said, it'll get you a lot of leeway in Mexico.
Well, keep you safe, in other words.
Yeah.
A lot of videos said that you got kind of relieved when FBI apprehended you, because you knew that the story it's over, right?
Yeah. It was a big relief, because that whole situation, it gets to be very, very stressful, and knowing that it's over with was a relief.
Was this like a nightmare in the end for you? Like you started as being so happy and for what you did, and then in the end it became a nightmare, right?
Yeah, a nightmare is a good word for it. Yeah.
Okay, so you got sentenced to 7 years in jail, in federal prison.
Yeah, thereabouts.
How was that time for you?
Well, federal prison in the United States isn't horrible. It's not like they beat you. You get fed 3 meals a day. I did a lot of reading, and I worked in the electrical department and repaired things that they brought from the kitchen and replaced light bulbs, stuff like that.
Did people in the jail talk with you about what happened? Were you famous?
Yeah, I was fairly famous. A couple times, one of the interviews would go on TV. People come and wake me up. Hey, Dave, you're on TV again. I'm like, oh, I know. Leave me alone. Go away.
It's like, I know the story. I don't need to see it again.
Yeah, I don't need to see it again. I lived it.
I lived it. Yeah, exactly. So now, after all these years, because the event happened in 1997 in Charlotte, North Carolina. After all these years, how do you see the event? Did you change?
Yeah, I've changed a great bit, and you do as you get older. I'm more philosophical about it now. I look back at it, and I go, if I hadn't have done what I did, I wouldn't have the wife and family that I have now. And the whole event has caused me to grow as a person. It forced me to become a better person. And I'm pretty happy with the me that I have now.
What is your family thinking about all of this?
The family I have now, they when I first told my wife, she laughed. They're pretty accepting about it, and most of my friends are pretty accepting about it.
I see. How this whole Hollywood thing happened to you? Did they contact you? When did you find out that they want to do a movie about your life story?
I guess one of the researchers had found my phone number, and they called here one night, and I thought it was one of my buddies playing a joke. And so I told the guy to F off and hung up on him. A few days pass, and they call me again. They say, hey, Mr. Ghantt, we're serious. This is Relativity Media. We'd like to, do a movie based on your story, and we'd like to talk to you. And so I Googled the guy's name, and he checked out. And I tentatively agreed, and he said, I want to talk to you again in about 2 weeks, but I want to have the director, Jared Hess, on the line. And so we set up a date, and I Googled Jared Hess's name, found out he was legit. Because I get some strange offers being famous. I had to make sure this was legit. And I talked to Jared, the director, and then a few months later, they flew me out to LA, where I got to meet Zach. And I got to meet one of the bigger producers with Relativity Media, and things just went from there.
How is Zach?
Zach's a really cool guy. He's a lot of fun to be with, and he's way smarter than you think he would be.
So he's not like the celebrity we see on the screens, acting cool and all that stuff. They're just normal people, right?
Yeah, he's a very down to earth guy, and one of the things one of the things he dislikes about being famous now is that he doesn't get to get out and be a normal person, because a lot of his comedy came from being able to make observations on people.
Exactly. Do you still keep in touch with him?
I talk to him every few months. He's generally a pretty busy guy, but we talk once in a while.
So first time when you saw the movie, was that funny to you, or what was your reaction to it?
Oh, I thought it was great. I got to go on set and watch some of it being filmed, and so I kind of knew how it went. But my first reaction, it is my type of movie. I like a lot of the slapstick type comedy and things like that, and I laughed a good bit at it.
Are they planning to do another movie? Do you know anything about it?
I have no idea. I wouldn't think so.
I see. Do you still keep in touch with Kelly or Steven or Michelle? Like, when was last time when you talked to them?
I haven't seen or talked to any of them since 97, 98 when we were in court together.
Oh, that was the last time?
Yeah.
Nobody, like Kelly, didn't try to contact you or anything like that?
Kelly sent me a letter in prison, but that's about it.
Was just a remorse letter, like saying sorry for anything, or?
Yeah, she told me she had found Jesus, and I wish her well, but I don't want to have any dealings with him.
I see. Well, that was a crazy life story. Tell me, would you do it again if you have the chance of going back in time, going back in 1996, 1997?
I'd have to say yeah. Again? Yeah, I have to say yeah.
And for the same reasons?
For the same reasons, yes. And, I'm looking at it from 20 years past and seeing the life I have now. And, a lot of that was painful back then, but it was necessary for me to change as a human being.
Do you think your life would have been different if you would have been doing this? Maybe, I don't know, from supervisor, because you're a supervisor back then, right?
Yeah, I was a vault superintendent, yeah.
So maybe life would have been a little bit different years going forward.
Oh yeah, it would have been, I'd have had a very boring life otherwise. Just working a regular job, and I would have never got to meet a lot of the people I've met.
Okay, so you moved to Florida, right? After you got released, you moved to Florida?
Yes, I did.
Any reason behind that? You just want to leave your past behind, or?
Well, I wanted to put some distance between me and the people who were arrested at the same time I was, that were attached to the crime. And I wanted to say, hey, I'm going to move over here, just change my whole life, start all over fresh. Because I would have never had that opportunity to start fresh in my home in North Carolina.
So 20 people got arrested. Why so many people? Because it was just you and the three others. Why 20 people?
Every person that money touched got arrested.
Oh, wow.
I mean, his cousins, the lawyer he hired to try and launder some of the money, his wife, and the list just grew.
Did Did FBI got all the money, like 17.3 million?
They got most of it back except for about almost 4 million.
And what happened with those 4 million?
It's unaccounted for or missing, or however you want to look at it.
Nobody knows about it.
No one knows.
I see. Thank you very much for accepting my invitation. It's a great story, and luckily to see that you change and you see life different now. And do you have a message for people in Romania?
I've done some research on Romania, and not many Americans know much about Romania. And I think your country, from what I've seen, I've never got a chance to visit. I think it's very beautiful, and I do work with some Romanians. I know some Romanians. You guys, from what I've known, are very lovely, kind people, and just want to say hello. Would you mind teaching me how to say hello in Romanian?
Salutare.
Salutare, my good friend.
Salutare, prietenii mei.
Okay, now that's pushing it there.
That's pushing. Okay, thank you very much, David, and all the best to you in this year.
Oh, much same to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.